Good afternoon, friends. The story I'm about to share with you today would be really rather humorous if it wasn't quite so serious. Well, at the time we were traveling and ministering in the United States, going across country from church to church, with the ups and downs and everything that entailed. And occasionally we would stay with families, church families, and get to know them quite well. Some of them became friends for many years later. One family we recall staying with told us that some years before they'd become committed to Christ, before they'd become a Christian, they'd had what we call a friendly ghost. And they used to joke about this friendly ghost. All kinds of things would happen in the home that were very humorous, and they felt they had a friend in this friendly ghost. But when they became a Christian, committed their lives wholly to Christ, were born again of God's Spirit, that friendly ghost turned out to be not so friendly after all, because all kinds of terrible things began to happen. I can't remember some of the details, but there were very unpleasant things that took place after they become Christians. And it wasn't until they took authority over that so-called friendly ghost that suddenly changed its behavior, that it took authority over it and got rid of it from the home, that things became peaceful once again. They also had a statue in the garden that used to go down to the garden and worship beside this statue. They didn't realize it at the time, but demons very often, wicked spirits, attach themselves to things like statues, and they get indirect worship behind the statue or attach themselves to it, receiving the worship that is really meant for God, but going to them instead. And this gentleman decided that they had to get rid of the statue in the garden because he realized that was idolatry in the sight of God, and they should worship God alone. Well, he tried it first with an axe to get rid of that wooden statue. He said the axe would just bounce off it. Then he tried to saw it, and he said as he tried to saw it, he said that thing just seemed alive in his hands. And eventually he went for the chainsaw and got rid of its head. And only then, he says, the lively behavior of that statue, which he thought was just a useless piece of wood, suddenly had become alive in his hands. He said as soon as he cut off its head, the resistance went, and he realized that it was indeed a spirit there lurking there, and he got rid of that as well as he got rid of the statue. It sounds a bit humorous, but these things are real, friends, and we're exhorted to worship God alone and not trust in things that are made by men's hands, but serve the only living God who is unseen, but we love him just the same. God bless you today.